Hello Blood Bowl fans, I'm finally doing it. I'm sorry it took so long, I had to keep moving it. I haven't had a chance to sit down and do this one. We're finally back to Race Wars, and this time we're looking at Chaos. And I hope I'm going to do it in the same format, but I haven't watched one of these. I called it Race Wars, didn't I? Never mind. Race Rundowns. I haven't looked at one of these race rundowns in a very long time, so I may do it in a slightly different format, but I hope I'll keep it pretty much the same. So, Chaos then. A lot of people say they're built for murder, but to be honest I see them more as a control team. But they are definitely designed to be able to be built for murder. That's a key point. Made for brutality and murdering foes, easy access to mutation skills, and above average strength even without skills. That's only true for the warriors and the beasts. Not the beasts, and the Minotaur actually. The beast has average strength. Few skills in the beginning, basic actions are more difficult. Depends on how you play them. Not the best when they have to play the ball. True. Until they have mutations. And the Minotaur can refuse to accomplish crucial actions. Yeah, the jury is out basically on the Minotaur. Some people love him, some people hate him. I'm somewhere in the middle, to be honest. Sometimes I like him, sometimes I don't. Chaos teams are not noted for their subtlety or originality of their gameplay. A simple drive up the center of the pitch, maiming and injuring as many opposing players as possible is about the limit of their game plan. They rarely, if ever, worry about such minor considerations like picking up the ball and scoring touchdowns. Not while there are any players left alive on the opposing team anyway. Even though it says that, I don't really agree, to be honest. Anyway, let's make the Gore Herd. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's taken. And Gore. So, one thing I've kind of been doing, if I remember rightly, is looking through the symbols, so... Also, there may be some new ones, because this is the first race rundown I've done ever since... No, there aren't. Ever since the Legendary Edition came out. And we'll go through some color schemes. I'm actually interested to see whether they allow for different colors when you are looking at the team build itself. I really doubt it, but never mind. Pink looks good. Let's go pink. Yep, that's taken. Okay. So, Al Gore Herd. That's not strange. A hole. Okay, I did click custom, didn't I? Yes, I did. Okay, so keep your eye on the money up here because we're going to be building to 1,000, of course. No, I didn't want to do that. So, minimum to start with. 2 team rerolls. Definite minimum. There are a couple of builds you can go for. You can go for the Minotaur build, which gives you, if I remember rightly, 3 Chaos Warriors and full roster of beasts. That should be 900 and something. 990, there we go, so you've got 10 more to play with. This is the Minotaur build if you really, really want it. The more recommended build is to drop the Minotaur and take the last warrior. Though if you are going to play the Minotaur, very important point, if you are going to play the Minotaur, then take him from the start. And if you have all 4 warriors and you also have the Beastman, you can have a 3rd team reroll. First purchase, as usual, is the Apothecary for the team. So there's that. Let's add the Minotaur back to the team though. I actually realized this is a custom team, I don't need to worry about keeping it to 1,000, never mind. I'm new to this, what can I say? So let's add the Minotaur again. In terms of what you can do with the team, now Chaos are one of these teams that are fantastic in that you can do pretty much anything with them, but they do need time to grow. If we're talking about the Warriors first of all, they have access to General, Strength, and Mutation for free. On a double they get Agility and Passing. There's no agility or passing skill, to be honest, that I personally would take on a warrior. I could make an argument for dodge, but everything else I don't see the point. A lot of people do like dive and tackle, though I've never felt the need to put it on one of my own players myself. You can make an argument for jump up as well if you do have a piling on piece. Most commonly though, you want to be taking some block, you probably want to take some tackle on at least the one piece, and you're looking mostly at strength, access, so Mighty Blow for doing that extra damage, Guard for helping you out on the line. Maybe some piling on if you want a little bit of fun, though I don't personally like piling on that much. Stand Firm and Grab also have their perks, but there are some slightly better options you can choose. Claw is useful for getting rid of those AV8 and above pieces. There's no point in taking horns on a warrior, I find, though you can use Disturbing Presence or Foul Appearance to help you out, at least on the one piece. If you have a Disturbing Presence, Foul Appearance, Tentacles piece, it's kind of like having a Nurgle warrior on your team, which is actually kind of useful. Though these things are not so useful for the Chaos Warriors. Chaos Warriors are mostly there as basically fighting on the line. So you want your block, Mighty Blow, Guard, Tackle, maybe Frenzy you could make an argument for. Anything like this, anything that's going to put the opponent on the ground. They have Strength 4, so they're very good at doing the punch-up thing. So if we build a team very quickly, because we never had this option before, I always take block first, personally, if I can, on at least one piece. I only usually take Mighty Blow first on the one piece, but if we want to go for a basic setup, and I'll put Guard on him, there's one. There's one piece leveled up. This is new compared to what I was doing. If we go for the fast build piece first, who is designed specifically to create death, then we'll go Mighty Blow. We'll go for some Claw. And we'll go for Guard. And block or block guard, either way is good. Okay, and if we go for a hunter killer, then we have block, Mighty Blow again, tackle, and where you go from here is interesting. I personally prefer the you're not getting away approach on this piece, but you could also go for the I'm not getting away from you approach. So this is where Stand Firm comes in handy. So you can keep on that piece that you can't quite get rid of. And if we use the last one as the Nurgle Warrior piece, this is not necessarily the way that everybody would do it. I may very quickly add, but this is how I personally like to make warriors. And we'll take block again. And then the mutations come in. This is the pain in the ass piece. Oh, I forgot Mighty Blow. Sorry. That should have been before Guard. I did it the wrong way around. Oh no, I'm not making that piece. Never mind. We're going to do this anyway. And we've got one more level. So let's put Disturbing Presence on, causing all kinds of problems on the pitch. Just an example. For the Beastmen, they are slightly more, well, they have more options. They start off with the same basic ideas, general strength mutation, but they have average stats across the board. So you can make it into anything you want. Generally speaking, you do want a piece that can keep the ball. So this is your sure hands. Still go block. And we can go, what can we go? I'm trying to remember. Oh, we can go fend, that can work. And we can take some mutation access. We can maybe go extra arms. And that'll do for basics. So you've got a ball carrier piece. It's a pretty straightforward ball carrier piece. You can have a strip piece that is built with wrestle. And then he has tackle. And then he has strip ball. And if you want to make him deadly at the same time, you can add Mighty Blow. He's a killer hunter and also a strip ball player that way. It's going to take longer with this. This is quite fun actually. I'm also showing off, of course, the fact that you can add extra skills. And I'll have a look at the starting skills in a second, which I normally do and I forget that I haven't done. And you can also go for the killer. Basic route for any killer piece on the Chaos team is Mighty Blow, Claw, piling on. But that's boring. You can actually make anything you want out of a Beastman. That's the key thing, because on a double they can have almost any skill you want. So sometimes the way they grow is the way you're going to let them develop. But there's some examples. And the Minotaur, there isn't really much he needs, to be honest, though he does have access to mutations. So general agility and passing are all doubles, so you're not going to get them for free, but anything in strength and anything in mutation. He already starts with Mighty Blow. It may be worth giving him Guard, just so he can help out as a piece even when he wild animals. You can give him Break Tackle if you really want to, because he does kind of want to blitz. And if you want to make him a pain in the ass, you can of course add Claw, but you can also add Tentacles is what I was thinking. And furthermore, we can add Claw just to finish this piece off. That's a good enough warrior, good enough Minotaur for me. In fact, it's more than good enough. He's a pretty damn good Minotaur. The basic strategy is that you use your warriors and the Minotaur to take out pieces. Stun is usually good enough, but whatever to get the piece out of your way. That's kind of their key thing. You use the Chaos Warriors to keep control of the pitch, and the Beastmen work as support pieces, hunter killers, murder pieces, or in fact the ball carrier and something that can help out. Now every single Beastman has horns, and what horns allows them to do is when they... I'll find the thing actually, I always try to do this without looking at it, it would be much easier if I just looked at it. When you are blitzing an opposition piece, you get an extra 1 to your strength, so you become a strength 4 piece for that specific block. So they are kind of designated blitzers just by the fact that they exist. Keep in mind though that the Minotaur has horns as well, and the fact that he's a wild animal, meaning that if he's hitting something he's more likely to act, he can also be a designated blitzer, but he is going to eat your blitz and your SPP if you do use him for that, so just keep that in mind. And the warriors, even though they start off with absolutely no skill, they are all strength 4, so this team is a lot more versatile than people give it credit, I think, at first. The main strength, I think, of a low, young Chaos team is that you can use any piece for whatever you want, pretty much. They're all agility free, so they can all handle the ball with equal chance. They can all pass, they can all catch with equal chance. It's not necessarily a good idea, but they can do it. The Chaos Warriors are more for the fighty things, so use them in the majority of your blocks, especially against bigger things. And the Beasts can do both jobs at once, so you can use them this way. On defense, they can basically work as one whole unit, stopping the opposition from getting through gaps. Especially young, Chaos positioning is very important, and I actually really like killer Chaos teams as opponents, because killer Chaos teams do not focus on position, and you can make a complete mess of them as a result. And I tend to do that, so when I'm building the team personally, I build them for the safety, so almost everything has wrestle or block first of all, everything literally. And then I go some killers, some ball handlers, a couple of pain in the asses like this one, etc. This is the way I tend to build them. And that's basically all there is for the team build. I've only got the one Chaos team that's already active, I think. It's my bronze team. Let's have a look at them now. Especially considering that I did say I would have a look at them at the end of the last video, but the game crashed, so I couldn't. And I actually went against my own story here because I've taken 3 lots of Mighty Blow, but that's been because of my opponents, not because of, I think, what is a correct build. To be honest, there's nowhere near enough block on this team, so for the majority of things I'm taking now, they're going to be getting block. Anything that's a rookie, they're going to be getting block, or they're going to be getting wrestle. I've already got the quick growth warriors. I also built this team as kind of a story team as well, so it's not really the way I would necessarily build it if I was playing a really solid team. And having a look at opponents in general then, I think that's what I normally do next. So, is this how we do it? Yeah, I think so. So if we have a look at, I went the wrong way, that was stupid. If we have a look at Chaos against all the different races, and there's 24 to go through now, oh dear. When you're fighting with humans, humans can outblock you in that they have more block skill, not necessarily that they're better at fighting. Humans don't want to get down and dirty with you. When you're on attack, you can really frustrate them and try and take them out one by one. Especially if you've grown a little bit, then you can take them out 2 by 2, 3 by 3, like the animals on Noah's Ark. When you're defending though, it's kind of the same idea as with an agility team. You want to basically set up a flat line or 2 flat lines and stop anything from breaking through. Don't give them too many blocks because they can actually hit your beast pretty hard. The beasts are a lot softer than people seem to give them credit. The beasts only have armor value 8, as does the Minotaur himself, so keep that in mind and try to keep them out of trouble as much as possible. The warriors have armor value 9, but still you don't want to be giving away too many free blocks, because free blocks in Blood Bowl, generally speaking, is death. Though you can use it to your advantage, most of the time it's not a good idea. So on attack, try and get in the human's face, try and put down those little soft things, and on defense, try and stay off them as much as possible. Facing off against orcs, it's a slightly different story. When you're playing orcs, you're going to have to expect that you're going to go down numbers, because the orcs want to fight, you kind of have to fight, and the orcs are slightly better at it than you are. So, same kind of thing basically, you've got to kind of stand off orcs as much as possible, pick on them when it's your turn, but when it's their turn, try and give them no more than 2 free blocks. 1 if possible, always 1 if possible. Orcs, it's just a case of surviving the onslaught. Though you can, if you have Mighty Blow and Claw, you've grown a little bit, you can give them an onslaught back. But early on, it's very much a case of surviving the blows from orcs and trying your best to keep hold of the ball, because orcs aren't really that good at scoring either, so you both have the same strengths, you both have the same weaknesses. Dwarves is a slightly different story. With dwarves, it's very much a case of stay away from them, as it is with most teams with dwarves. If you're giving more than 1 block to dwarves as any team, to be honest, you're kind of playing wrong. Though, it does take a long time to get used to that mentality. And when you're playing against dwarves specifically as Chaos, if it's early on, they have all of the skills, so don't try and get into a fight with them, but do try and keep control of the ball. Positioning is everything as early Chaos, and positioning is everything as early Dwarf, as dwarves in general, to be honest, so you're both trying to outposition each other. And when you grow a little bit, you have all this Claw, you have all this Mighty Blow and piling on if you've made killers, you can start picking on the weaker dwarves, and you can even start picking on the stronger dwarves, though just keep in mind they don't break that easily. Armor value 9, thick skull, takes a little bit of doing. With rats, the mistake I always see when I'm watching Chaos play against rats or elves is that the Chaos are chasing down everything, trying to kill everything. This is kind of a mistake in the way the team is shown and the way the team is presented by many coaches and many people who consider themselves very good at the game. They say that Chaos are designed to murder. That's true, it doesn't necessarily mean it's their best strategy. When you're playing against Skaven and any kind of elf, to be honest, you're always better off standing off them a little bit. Letting them come to you, and then when they do come to you, surround them and crush them. But if you're chasing them all the way around the field, Skaven are playing their game, you're not playing yours. When you're up against High Elves, same kind of story. Don't go chasing all the pieces, especially High Elves actually, because they can actually withstand the fight more than Skaven, more than Wood Elves, and even to an extent more than Dark Elves. So you do need to take the fight to them, but you need to be careful about how you do it. Try and force them into a corner and use your team to surround them. I actually had a very good example of that in my last game against Ook. I did exactly what I'm saying to do with Chaos in that game, the video before this one. Sorry, Ook. And same with Dark Elves as High Elves basically, though Dark Elf and High Elf strategy is slightly different. With High Elves, you need to keep something deep for when the ball inevitably gets through the gap, and for Dark Elves you need to keep something deep for when the Dark Elf, and the Skaven for that matter, inevitably break through the gap. Against Bretonnians, that's an interesting one. Bretonnians, it's always difficult to have a strategy against Bretonnians. It really depends on the coach that you're playing. If you're playing against a fouling coach, then you're probably going to have a lot of fun with Chaos, to be honest, because you're going to do a lot of damage, because they're going to keep people in your face, you get up and you punch them. If you're playing against one of the Bretonnian teams that are more sensible and they stay out of the way, they are screeny, things like this, then you're playing a very long slog against them and you're both playing a very similar game. Try and beat up the linemen as much as you can and try and keep the blitzers and blockers within blitzing range for all of your pieces. The key to being Chaos is to be adaptable and to decide which piece is best to blitz with. It's kind of the key thing in a Chaos team, I personally think. Even if you have something that is designed specifically to blitz, it might be out of position and you need to blitz with a different piece. And Chaos are good at blitzing. We're not talking about mirrors. And against the Wood Elves, it's similar to the Dark Elf and the Skaven strategy. The important thing I haven't been mentioning actually, if a Wood Elf, a Dark Elf, a High Elf, etc. are on the ground, always base them if you can, because they have to dodge away then. But mostly, if everything is standing up, then stand in their way, and stand in their way as tightly as possible, so they have to roll to get through. So basically they can't just hit something and make a gap, they actually have to roll dice in order to get to you, in order to fight with you, in order to dodge through you, if necessary. And against lizards. With the Kroxigor and the Saurus army, they're going to be standing up against you as best they can. And to be honest, they can fight just as well as you can. The Saurus and the Chaos Warrior are very similar in stats. They may even be exactly the same. I don't remember exactly. They can move 6, they have slightly less agility, otherwise they have the same stat line, I believe. So there are more Saurus than there are warriors, so keep that in mind. You're not going to be able to outnumber them, but you can use the beasts as support, and as soon as you get some guard on the team, if the lizards don't have too much guard, you can use it to your advantage. Of course, the skinks are also quite weak, so if you do have tackle on your team, go hunting skinks. Go hunting skinks all day long. With Norse, early on, Norse actually have a slight advantage over you that is unexpected. Even though they have less armor value, they have all the block. So if you're in a slog between Beastmen and Norse, it's kind of even in a weird way, because they're more likely to knock you down, you're more likely to break armor. So your two strengths kind of counteract each other. So with Norse, it's kind of about basically making sure they're only getting 1 die blocks. If you're giving them 2 die blocks as any team against Norse, you're doing something wrong. They shouldn't be getting too many 2 die blocks, they're not strong enough for it. So keep your pieces tight together, force them to make these uncomfortable 1 die blocks with a 2+ chance of hitting, basically doing what elves do as dodge. And again, anything that's on the floor, keep it based. With Undead, you're slightly faster than Undead, so it's worth keeping that in mind, though the ghouls of course can cause you a lot of problems, but skeletons, zombies, mummies, even the wights to an extent, they're quite slow. So it's pretty difficult for them to set up if you are forcing them to move around a lot. Try and split up the mummies and put a couple of Chaos Warriors on them if you can and put the thing down. If you put it down, it can't move as far, but don't focus on the mummies, because the mummies can hurt you more than you can hurt them. However, if they are on the ground, great, leave them alone. The opposite advice is I'd give to an elf, etc. And same kind of idea, try and pick on a zombie, try and pick on something in the team, and choose your blitz wisely, but don't let them get too many blocks against you when it's their turn. I understand entirely that these strategies that I give here are much easier said than done, but the principle is what's important. And Necromantic team. Interesting, I don't have a normal Necromantic team, I only have this one. Okay, I'm going to have to make one for when I do the video for Necromantic. But that aside, Necromantic is kind of similar to the Undead team. The only difference is, of course, they have wolves, and the wolves can hurt your entire team with their claw. However, the wolves also can suffer from a frenzy trap, so try and set up positions where it's not a good idea for a wolf to blitz your piece. If they do blitz, they have a chance of being frenzy trapped. If you can stop them from blitzing with the wolves, you can always slow down Necromantic teams. For Nurgle, this is kind of weird. It feels like it should be a mirror match, and in some ways it is, but Nurgle actually have all of the advantage, I think, in this matchup, Chaos against Nurgle, if it's early. If it's late, not necessarily. But if it's early TV and both teams are young, then all of this stuff that stops you from using the ball and all of this stuff that stops you from punching them can really cause problems, especially the punching problem, because you're going to want to kind of get in the face of Nurgle, and at the same time they want to do the same to you. So if you manage to fail a punch, for every punch you do manage to fail, they manage to get one freely. So it can cause you all kinds of problems. It's still very much a positional game against Nurgle, as it is against any. The only problem is that attack is much harder as Chaos against Nurgle. In terms of attack, try and keep the ball out of the range of the warriors and the beast, just so you can keep that disturbing presence out of your way. So when a kick is relatively deep, keep it there as much as possible, as safely as possible. And try to get around them as opposed to through them, because if you drop the ball, you're going to have a hard time getting it back up. Again, easier said than done, I know. Khemri's a bit of a weird one. It feels like you should be winning this fight, but a good Khemri coach can use his Tomb Guards really effectively, and the skeletons can come only in support. And it's difficult to put down a supporting skeleton when a Tomb Guard is in the way. It's also a little bit scary, because if you put down the supporting skeleton, you're going to get punched by a bigger skeleton next turn. So it is tempting to go toe-to-toe with the big, ugly tomb guards and try and put them down, but that's stupid. Don't do that. Instead, similar kind of thing, but you have to kind of split up the tomb guards. Very important. Split them up as much as possible, spread them out, and try and hit a weak point in the defensive line. A good Khemri coach won't leave one though, so you have to kind of be creative against Khemri. Chaos Dwarves. It's kind of similar to the Dwarf situation, the Orc situation, etc. But they do have those squishy Hobgoblins, so the Hobgoblins should be your target if there's quite a few of them on the team. You can also do a surprising amount of damage to the Bull Centaurs, because they have the same strength as your warriors, so if you can get a warrior and an assist on them, you can put them down. If they are crazy enough to take a Minotaur, so if they're me, basically, then focus down the Minotaur as well. It's actually one of the weakest armoured pieces in the team. And also the Minotaur is no match for your Minotaur, because he doesn't have the mutation access for free. And then we got the new teams, which in some teams I don't really feel like I have the experience to talk about, but I'll do my best. So Amazons, the Dodge Fest team. Amazons aren't too bad, to be honest, as long as you keep them in front of you and you keep pushing them back, forcing them to dodge backwards as opposed to trying to dodge through you, then you'll have a good time against them. So every time they want to run away, go follow them. I wouldn't necessarily say base them all, but if you can base them with at least 2 pieces, then go for it. If you can't, then just stand in their way. Always stand in these kind of teams' way, basically. Don't necessarily go chasing and killing them, but keep in a flat line going forward. Always try and flatline as much as possible. And Vampires. And we'll have a look at my team, the Suckers. This is one of my teams in upcoming competition, as is the Zons, by the way. Amazon is the team that's going into Rebel next season. And the Suckers are going into Mad Academy. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So, Chaos against Vampires. I haven't had this matchup. Not much I can say. I don't have a lot of experience with Vampires, playing as them or against them. Most of it has been through beta, though I have played them in Blood Bowl 1 as well. The Vampire's main strength is that they can destroy your tackle zone. So you've got to keep that in mind, especially with the Chaos Warriors, because they can stop the Chaos Warriors from being a problem at all, especially if there are a lot of Vampires. The Vampire also has equal strength to you, but more agility. So it's pretty difficult to slow them down. If the Vampires are used well, in tandem with each other, it's quite difficult to break them down, I can imagine, though the Thralls only have armor value 7, so I guess aim for them as much as possible, and keep the Vampires in front of you. And try to keep at least one piece behind you that can come and slow down the Vampire that has hypno-gazed your Warrior, that has hypno-gazed your Minotaur, that has hypno-gazed the Beast that is a kill piece. Kislev is a team that I'd never played before the beta. They're brand new to Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl as a computer game. I know Slan exists on tabletop, but I haven't played tabletop in many, many years. To be honest, I don't really know what to do with Kislev yet. Their main strengths are that they have a lot of diving tackle, and you need to keep that in mind, especially if you are forced into a position where you're kind of outnumbered and your best option is to dodge. Just keep in mind that the Blitzers do have diving tackle. I kind of treat Kislev like I do any other team. You need to keep them in front of you, but you also need to keep 2 lines so they can't leap past you. So try and keep the 2-line defense as opposed to the 1-line defense. The 2-line defense is quite simple in its setup. You can have 5 pieces across the board and cover every single tackle zone. If you have 2 lines of this, not necessarily one behind the other, but if you have 2 lines that are within 2 tackle zones of each other, you can completely cover the whole field in tackle zones. And I haven't had a lot of time to test it, but in theory, that's something that you can do against Kislev, especially Soviet Kislev, where long legs leap you. And the Goblin team, it's one of these interesting teams that, you know, people say are a fun team, they're crazy, etc., but actually Goblins are more worrying than you'd imagine, and they can do quite a lot of damage to your beasts if you let them. So, with Goblins, avoiding the weapons, of course, is number 1, though sometimes it's hard to avoid the Bombardier. If you can get rid of the Bombardier early, that can really help you, or if the Bombardier gets rid of himself, that can happen too. Avoid the Fanatic at all costs, don't try and put him down. Try and stay away from the Trolls, but also be aware of Flying Goblins, because Flying Goblins are your biggest score threat. So try and always be prepared for a goblin that's going to fly over your front line of defense. Always keep something in reserve against goblins. Halflings is kind of the same story, but you can kind of go halfling hunting, of course. Halflings are there to get punched, so punch them. They're never going to be able to stand up against your team, so you may as well chase them down and murder them. Underworld is an interesting one where the Skaven kind of play like Skaven and the goblins make it even harder because they can dodge through your tackle zones. Underworld is one of these key examples where disturbing presence and foul appearance and things can actually help you, though if you don't have those things, then it's very much a case of hoping that Skaven and goblins get hurt. The troll can cause you a lot of problems, so try and keep pieces close together so the troll can't get an easy attack with rats helping him out. If you can hunt down and destroy the blitzers, that can really help you too. Any of the Skaven in general. Losing a Skaven is always a bad idea. It is a bad time for an Underworld team. And the Ogre Kingdoms. The Ogres are much more damaging than you'd imagine. It's not a good idea to start a fight with them. You can have as many fights you want with the Gnoblars, but don't fight the Ogres as best you can. Try and avoid them. Make sure they have to blitz you, or throw a Gnoblar at you. That's the other option. If you can smack a Gnoblar though, smack the Gnoblar. It'll help you. There's not really much I can say about Halflings and Ogres at the moment, really. And Elven Union. Some bastard took my name. Bleach. Anyway. Elven Union are a strange elf team in that they can almost always score. I mean, really, almost always score. I don't think I've ever seen a situation where I've been against an Elven Union team with a good coach where I'm not afraid that he's going to score any minute. So, positioning. That's the key thing. Learn as much as you can about positioning. I'll do a positioning tutorial soon, but I want to get through the races first. And that's it. As for the All-Stars, etc., not much I can say. Haven't even had a chance to really play against them, so there we go. So, I guess that's it. I didn't really have a look at the stats, so let's have a look at that very quickly, actually. I've done it in the wrong order, I know. So, Minotaur, starting out. Minotaur has Thick Skull, that basically gives him a chance to take an 8 as a stun, as opposed to a KO. He has Mighty Blow, which allows you to get a +1 on armor or injury roll. He has Horns. If he's blitzing, he gets a plus strength to blitz, so he blitzes at strength 6, whereas he blocks at strength 5. He has Frenzy, that means he can tackle twice in one go. He has Loner, which means it's not a good idea to reroll, because you have to roll in order to reroll. And he has Wild Animal, which means that if he's hitting something, he needs a 2+ to make an action. If he's not hitting something, he needs a 4+ to make an action. Though if he does Wild Animal, he doesn't lose his tackle zones at least. So he can be used kind of as a roadblock a little bit, though mostly he's better as a reserve blitzer. And starting off, a Chaos Warrior has no skills at all. They have movement 5, so they're actually slower than Saurus. I was wrong when I said they were the same. Strength 4, agility 3, and armor value 9. And they have no skills. And a Beastman. Starting off, they only have the Horns, which I talked about on the Chaos Warrior. They have movement 6, strength 3, agility 3, and armor value 8. That's everything about Chaos. I'm sorry again this video was so late. I was kind of afraid of this video. I wanted to do quite a lot with Chaos. I mean, you can build lots of different things, but I need to play around a little bit more with the custom teams before I can do that properly. So thank you for watching, thank you for waiting so long for the Chaos video. And the Wood Elf video is coming next week. I know that a lot of people have been excited about that one. I hate Wood Elves, so I don't know why you're excited about it, but hopefully I can help it out a little bit. Thank you for watching, thank you for taking the time. If you want to see any more of these videos, there's a whole playlist below. Also, there are, of course, a lot of games where I'm playing as Chaos, especially in Bronze Division in the ICBBL. Thank you very much for watching, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.